And y'all know I asked for one last year. Here it is the whole way in August. I still ain't got it. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Let me kick down the door and talk to my cheap sons and daughters.
That's Missouri pastor Carlton Funderburke shouting down his own parishioners for failing to buy him a fancy new watch.
I don't want to hear no more excuses about what y'all can't afford. You can't afford it because you don't see the value here. When y'all hear from y'all pastor and father, I'm over y'all. I'm over your cheap expressions. See, that's how I know you still poor, broke, busted, and disgusted, because of how you've been honoring me. I'm not worth your McDonald's money. Come on. Come on. I'm not worth your Red Lobster money. I ain't worth your St. John knit. Y'all can't afford it no how.
What are you guys doing? People in the background were like, hallelujah. Well, why are you there? Like, what? He's mad at his parishioners for failing to buy him a Movado watch. He's talking them down, calling them cheap. And they're like, yes, give me more. I don't understand humans. But anyway, let me give you more details. The clip featured Carlton Funderburke. I don't know if that's his real last name, but that's what it's reported to be. Senior pastor at Kansas City's Church at the Well, telling churchgoers they were cheap sons and daughters for not honoring their pastor by buying him a Movado watch.
But in America, that's normal. I mean, that's just nuts, totally insane. But every race does it, every denomination does it, everybody does it. You got white pastors, you got black pastors, all saying you got to buy me private jets, you got to buy me fancy cars, you got to buy me fancy watches. You got Copeland, that demon, saying that, hey, flying in a regular plane is flying with, I call him a demon because he called regular people are demons. He's like, you don't want to fly with demons in a plane. And that's why Jesus needs me to have a private jet. And look, if you're one of those religious folks who believe in these extremists, I mean, look, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, man. You got to get your head examined.
They're not even extremists. They're hucksters. That's what they are. They're freaking hucksters. I can't believe that anyone would fall for this garbage and take that kind of abuse. Take that kind of abuse.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not worth your McDonald's money? No, you ain't worth anything, okay? Take a walk. Are you kidding me right now? I'm not worth your Red Lobster money? Buy yourself a freaking watch.
Yeah,
it's disgusting. This whole story is so disgusting. So apparently there was at least one parishioner who wasn't buying it because they posted this on social media and it went super, super viral. By the way, he also says, in case you missed it, you can buy a Movado watch at Sam's or in Sam's, meaning Sam's Club. And y'all know I asked for one last year. Here it is the whole way in August. I still ain't got it. Y'all ain't said nothing. Let me kick down the door and talk to my cheap sons and daughters. You know who's cheap? The huckster who needs to scam churchgoers to get a watch for himself. That's the cheap guy. The disgusting scam artist that, yeah, and you're right, he's not the only one. There's so many of them. What's wrong with Americans? Isn't your relationship with God supposed to be intimate and personal? You really think God is gonna give you the middle finger if you don't buy this random person a Movado watch? What is wrong with people?
Yeah, so I like your distinction between extremists versus grifters, because there's extremist pastors who say, oh, you should hate gay people, you should hate these people, you should hate that people, right? And then there's the hucksters, which is a huge percentage of the pastors. Look, keep it real, keep it real. Why do they go into that line of work? Do you think it's because they're the most moral? Come on, guys, I love you, but you really believe that still to this day? No, that guy's good at talking. What do other people who are good at talking do? Unfortunately, a lot of them, and I hate to say this because I'm a talk show host, but a lot of them wind up scamming people for money. Politicians are relatively good at talking. What are they? Grifters, almost all of them.
They're the top hucksters.
Yeah. Talk show hosts, Fox News, every one of them is a goddamn liar. And honestly, a lot of the ones in establishment media are liars for corporations and the status quo. And so if Like, unfortunately in this country, if you can talk well, they're like, good, let's sign him up to rob people of money, okay? And so this guy's super obvious. And what is the other top thing that grifters do? They go to religion. Why? Because religious people, good folks, say, I'm not gonna operate based on logic, I'm gonna operate based on faith. But once you get divorced from logic, anybody can tell you anything and call it faith. And then all of a sudden, what happens? This is a tiny, tiny scam. The much larger scam is business interests in the 1970s. They even wrote a memo about it. Lewis Powell went on the Supreme Court. He wrote the memo that said, and it's not just him, they wrote other memos too, especially about religion. They said, why don't we just go get religious people to vote for Republicans so we can get tax cuts? Because you could tell religious people anything and they'll believe it. And unfortunately, this is a decent example of it. So now, but there's a difference now. Because the internet, they're getting caught. And he got caught. If he hadn't gotten caught, he'd still be yelling and screaming at them, telling them they're inferior and need to give him a watch. But since the internet's caught him, all of a sudden, a different reaction.
All of a sudden, a very different reaction and a different tone. So let's take a look at a portion of his apology video.
Though there is context behind the content of the clip, no context will suffice to explain the hurt and anguish caused by my words. I have spoken to those I am accountable to and have received their correction and instruction. I have also privately apologized to our church, who has extended their love and support to me. I'm privileged to do life with them. The video clip does not reflect my heart or my sentiments toward God's people, yet that's not discernible in the clip. Therefore, I offer this sincere apology to you today. No context could erase the words I used. I apologize to all who have been hurt, angered, or in any way damaged by my words.
I mean, to be fair, there really isn't anything more powerful than a scripted, heartfelt apology.
Yeah.
Especially when you use that, low sympathetic tone. Yeah, not buying any of it. And I love the fact that he mentioned the church. So I apologize to the church, and luckily they didn't fire me. Of course they didn't fire you. Of course they didn't. It's a huckster church, obviously. You think they didn't know that he was doing this? They knew.
This is a surprise to them?
They knew. Come on. Look. Everyone's free to do whatever the hell they want, right? So if you want to go to this church and you want to be scammed from these grifters, I guess have at it. But I can't help but feel so much pain thinking about the likely elderly people that are being, again, scammed by people like this.
Yeah, so last thing here. Look, if you are going to a church that has a prosperity preacher, those are the ones that say, Jesus wanted everybody to get rich, but especially your pastor. And they ask you for Bentleys and Rolls Royces and private jets and Movado watches. Your church is a total joke, and it's set up for one reason only, to rob you, okay? So every prosperity preacher, every single one of them is a crook, and they're all frauds. If you go to their churches, you're going to voluntarily to a robbery, your own robbery, okay? They say, I'm going to rob you, and then you let them. Now, it doesn't mean every pastor, so I'm gonna give the last word to a pastor in our audience, Chaplain Fred, AKA Prayer Dragon. He wrote it through Super Chat, but I know he's also a member. He said, Cenk and Anna, I'm also a pastor of a church, but I can tell you I've never been dependent on my congregation. I have my own business and help my community with my income. This demon is the very reason people do not trust us. So that's exactly right. It's true also of the others like Kenneth Copeland, Creflo Dollar. They're all crooks, obvious, massive crooks. Just because they attach the word God to their particular scam doesn't make them any better, it makes them worse.
And they shouldn't be tax exempt. That ain't a church. It's just an explicit scam mill, and they get to enjoy tax exempt status while pretending to be a religious organization. It's sick.